The MetaQuest 3 is nothing more than an overpriced pile of plastic that only spits out pixel mush, offering no real value or immersive experience to justify its exorbitant price tag. So I had to read something like this when I was checking the comments on YouTube one morning. That made me start thinking, did you actually make such a big mistake? Anyway, I decided to put Quest 3 back to the test approximately 6 months later, subsequent to my initial opportunity to try it. Did I get my 50-day review so wrong? Has my opinion changed? And what else have I observed in the 6 months that I have been using the Quest 3 on a daily basis? So if you guys want to get a quick and detailed overview of MetaQuest 3, this video is the best place to go. Wait a second, did you actually just claim that your video is the best? Yes, but what I'm trying to say is, how about a little humility for once? So yeah, I've tried my best, I don't really know either. Come on, be honest, you have no clue. If you're into a video about the lunch feast, then definitely stick around till the end. I'll link my detailed 50-day review in the credits. As always, you can find chapter markers in the video description. And let's begin. So, how is the MetaQuest 3 holding up after 6 months of use? Strictly speaking, that is not even considered as a single question. There are so many aspects like how has the operating system evolved, how stable is the Quest 3 in terms of operation, and also in terms of the casing. How is the software offering developing? How helpful is the meta support? Has the performance changed in any way? In comparison to the competition, how did Quest 3 fare? And there are numerous other questions, too many to answer within the confines of this video. But I'll tell you about the most important points. I've been using the MetaQuest 3 almost daily for the past 6 months. Personally, it is really important to me that things I own work properly and look good, even after extended use. You cannot even imagine how I reacted when I discovered the first scratch on my Apple Watch. I haven't been exactly gentle with the MetaQuest in the past 6 months. I've been changing accessories like face covers or head straps quite frequently to test out the accessories for you guys. Today I can say that I definitely noticed signs of wear and tear on the Quest, especially on the wrist straps of the controllers and the included headband. Although they may not have broken or flown away or anything like that, it is true that they do regularly turn grey with use, and especially on the edges of the head strap, it can sometimes look really unpleasant to the eye. Both the head strap and the wrist straps, however, can be quickly cleaned with a hand wash using some dish soap and lukewarm water. I couldn't find any issues with the case. It's very sturdy and shows no signs of wear and tear. That's why I also advise you against protective covers or these skins. They promise once again more protection and a better look, but they can also lead to suboptimal chip cooling, and therefore you have to accept a loss of performance. The Quest 3 is already quite robust, but what about software support after a period of 6 months? There's nothing worse than the feeling of buying a new phone or PC and then getting the impression that the device won't receive updates, or specifically that the Quest 3 won't be supplied with games. I jumped in with the Quest 1 back then, and through updates, Meta, or rather Oculus, added so many features that the Quest 1 felt like a completely different headset afterwards. There are not really any big leaps and bounds these days, to be honest, but there are always nice feature enhancements and, above all, monthly updates. Sometimes there are features like Metacache or the lying mode that was introduced now or back then, also the support of PCVR, which is absolutely awesome. Every now and then there are just security updates, but there have also been a lot of changes in terms of gaming technology. Just since the release of Quest 3, titles like Assassin's Creed Nexus, Asgard's Wrath 2, or even the Xbox Cloud Gaming app have come out. Software-wise, Meta fully delivers after 6 months, so those were just a few tidbits of info that I wanted to give you beforehand. My small assessment. I've also heard, for example, the customer support is said to be very accommodating and you can get replacements fast. However, as I lack personal experience, I prefer not to delve into excessive detail at this juncture, but rather focus on summarizing my conclusion after a period of 6 months. Is Quest 3 genuinely an overpriced pile of plastic, as mentioned in the comment section? One thing I can tell you immediately, the Quest 3 is incredibly costly for a collection of plastic materials. But it looks different when you consider the Quest 3 as a VR headset. Prior to beginning, in case you all have acquired a Meta Quest 3, I'm curious about the reason for your specific choice of this headset. What are the advantages that you believe it offers in comparison to the competition, such as the Pico 4 or the PSVR 2? What do you guys like about your Quest 3 and what could be even better? I think your opinion is especially important because probably a lot of people will see this video who are interested in a Quest 3 and then find out what the other pros and cons of the Quest 3 are, regardless of what I'm going to tell you in this video. So what are the truly essential positive aspects of the Meta Quest 3, what this headset is genuinely good at, and what are the negative points? For this video, I took a look back at the past 6 months of use. I even found another weakness of the Quest 3, regarding which Mark Zuckerberg will most likely be quite annoyed today. Let's commence with a negative aspect for an alteration and subsequently switch it up. The Meta Quest 3 has been developed as a social device, just like all Meta Quest headsets. So you shouldn't just have the opportunity to sneak through dungeons or take care of zombie hordes on your own, but you can also meet up with your friends for a movie night, play a round of mini golf, or just chat. That's a really nice thing, especially with friends who live a bit further away. And what is particularly important about it right now? Exactly, that you listen to each other. I think the speakers on the Quest 3 are really well done again. They have a good volume, convey a super spatial sound, but are slightly less shielded than with the Quest 2. That means in the space around you, you can hear a bit more of your gameplay. But that shouldn't bother you guys. But what I really criticized back then in my review were the microphones. Here is roughly how I expressed myself about that. But here in Quest 3, Meta really fucked up. Peter is packing spicy paprika paste into a handy plastic packaging. The tests have shown relatively clear results. The audio quality of the Quest 2 is simply better chosen. I don't think it's due to a poorer microphone quality of the Quest 3, but rather due to a poorer microphone position closer to the mouth due to the slimmer casing. That obviously provides you with noticeably stronger bass sounds, and the soundtrack is much more compressed in terms of dynamic range. That was pretty much what I said in my review back then. By now, I've already put in quite a few more hours of multiplayer games, and I've played with a lot of people who have either a Quest 2, Quest 3, or Quest Pro. Honestly, I couldn't really tell from anyone what headset they were using. So, like, look over there, that's the guy with the Quest 3 and the crappy microphone. Right in front of our noses, heck, killed someone. Right away. However, that is actually not the case at all. Clearly, Meta put a great deal of work into fixing this afterwards. That's why I must admit after 6 months of use that I was mistaken about this point. What could be worse than desiring to play an incredibly amazing game in virtual reality, but the image is unclear, or the screen appears as if you're observing the game world through a door made of screens? That can really spoil a game for you. That's why I believe the visuals are crucial when it comes to a VR headset. And by that, I don't mean how great Quest 3 looks from the outside. But instead the quality and interaction of the optical components, particularly the lenses in conjunction with the displays. In Quest 3, they use pancake lenses with LC displays for 2064 x 2208 pixels per eye. And I have to say today, the lenses are super clear, the displays deliver contrast-rich and also razor-sharp images despite LC technology. I think that the design of the Quest 3, combined with the price, will contribute to it becoming the VR standard in the coming years. You can complain about everything and everywhere, and of course it would have been nice here too if we had OLED displays for better black levels and even more contrast-rich images, or at least like the Meta Quest Pro LC displays with mini LED backlighting. So overall, I would say that the look of the Quest 3 is still absolutely awesome, and I don't think you can get anything better at this price-performance ratio. But what good is the best optics if there's nothing to look at? And that brings us to our next point. When you decide on a headset, you are not only deciding on the hardware. Simply take a look at purchasing a PlayStation 5 or a Nintendo Switch, for instance. Of course, they're completely different, no doubt about it. If you guys want to play Super Mario or Zelda, then you know you got to buy the Nintendo Switch for these exclusive titles. If you want to purchase Gran Turismo or Horizon, you will need a PlayStation console. And it is not just that. If you decide, for example, to go with a PlayStation, you're dependent on new games being developed for it and the existing games being updated. Yeah, and basically it's the same in virtual reality, except that the alternative platforms aren't really as polished as Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo. Few platforms are relatively well maintained. Already informed you about the situation of the PSVR 2 in one of my recent videos. But even, for example, the Pico Store has not been supplied with updates or DLCs for a long time and really does not have any noteworthy exclusive titles. And what I'm getting at, which many people just don't consider, and why this point is so important to me, is that when you buy a headset, you're making a long-term decision. If you buy a game at the store for a headset, it can only be played on a headset of that brand. A game from the PSVR 2 store could never run on a Pico 4, Pico 4 games will never run on a MetaQuest headset, and so on. Switching headsets later would result in losing your entire library of games, requiring you to start over from scratch. Okay, I have already presented you with the horror scenario, but we are now in a positive position. And the Meta ecosystem definitely lands on my positive list because there are just so many games in the store, including some awesome exclusive titles. Meta itself invests a ton of resources into game development and the evolution of platforms. Overall, regarding the ecosystem, the MetaQuest 3 clearly surpasses the competition and simply provides the superior choice in relation to games and apps. Even if the store is well stocked and the lenses and displays are great, there's still something else that can ruin your gaming fun. Now imagine every game goes like this, or every game looks like this. Here we come to a point that maybe wasn't so important for VR glasses 5-6 years ago, but is gaining more and more importance. By that I mean the built-in chip in standalone headsets. These guys, as you know, have had their own computing power since 2019 with the MetaQuest 1, so you don't need an extra PC anymore to play virtual reality games. The principle is basically the same as with a PC. The better the chip is, the smoother the games run, and the better the games could look if the developers optimize them. But I don't want to bore you here with technical details or benchmarks. In short, the chip of the MetaQuest 3 is super fast. Of course, compared to its predecessor and not compared to an RTX 4090. However, this service does not only have advantages, which I will get into in a moment. First of all, it allows for visually demanding applications and games with a refresh rate that is truly enjoyable. And now you're probably wondering, where's the catch with a super fast and super good chip? A chip that enhances power, improves game visuals, and calculates faster than its predecessor. It is simple. He requires additional energy in order to deliver this extra performance with the identical efficiency. That means, depending on the usage, the battery only has a duration of up to 1.5 hours. Especially in mixed reality mode, the battery drains really fast. But there are also definitely use cases where it lasts for 2 to 2.5 hours, such as just watching movies or even in battery saver mode, where the graphics are simplified a bit. The high power consumption is not a deal breaker in my opinion, because you can prepare for this problem, for example, by using the original Elite battery strap from Meta or third-party accessories. I think, for example, the Bobo M3 Pro for the MetaQuest 3 with interchangeable batteries is absolutely awesome, because that not only increases playing time, but also provides more comfort. Now the developers just need to start, because currently there are no games that fully utilize the potentials of the MetaQuest 3. So far, it's mostly been limited to graphic upgrades of existing games, which are super impressive, like in Red Matter 2, where they even added dynamic shadows. However, I would love to have a few exclusive Quest 3 titles that fully utilize all the possibilities. Well, we've got another problem because the Quest 2 sold over 20 million times. That's why developers naturally continue to focus on compatibility with this headset, because it's a huge market for them, and they would be giving away money if they didn't also develop for the Quest 2 at the same time. And right now, from my perspective, that's a big obstacle for Quest 3, which I'm planning to make a separate video about. Overall, it can be said that Meta has done everything right with the new chip generation. The new chip represents a significant advancement, and games with a graphics upgrade look almost as good as some PC VR games. But not everything that glitters is gold. Of course, I had more complaints than just the microphone. We often spot the Metacrits 3 in such commercials. One key technique that Meta promotes is mixed reality. In mixed reality, the pass-through of the Quest 3 is enhanced with virtual elements. That way, you can, for example, play games in your living room or sit at a desk and use 3 huge external monitors for work, which is really awesome. The other day, I was still playing Demio with a friend in the local multiplayer in the living room, in mixed reality. We saw each other and could literally walk through the field. So this is really a technique that has a ton of potential. And as for the mixed reality mode, I can say that the virtual elements are displayed super well, both in terms of perspective and how they are anchored in the room. Now we're getting to the crux of the matter. After hearing about the focus of Quest 3 on mixed reality and seeing the official visuals, I must admit that I approached the MetaQuest 3's representation of your surroundings with completely wrong expectations. Don't let yourselves be fooled by the awesome footage of the pass-through that you find on YouTube. These actually look really good, but they show the picture from a greater distance. If you truly desire to comprehend the quality of the pass-through on the Quest 3, then you must closely examine these videos, almost as if you are crawling into the screen. Only then will you realize that these recordings are not entirely pristine and essentially depict exactly what you perceive in your Quest 3. Please understand, the pass-through is sufficiently satisfactory for usage and provides enjoyment. However, if you anticipate it to resemble the experience of not wearing a VR headset or to be anywhere near that level, you will inevitably be disappointed. I'm not really satisfied with the pass-through, but I'm not really dissatisfied either. He's just alright. But if I were to make a wish for the Quest 4 or the Quest Pro 2, then a significantly improved pass-through would be a point that is at the very top of the list. And now we arrive at negative point 3, which from Meta's perspective was highly understandable at the time of Quest 3's release, but they could also be irritated by it at present. This point is connected to another virtual reality VR headset that has been introduced and released in the meantime, specifically the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Vision Pro is equipped with a rather unique user interface concept that combines both hand and eye tracking capabilities. And that's where the rabbit is located in the pepper. Quest 3 has the ability to function effectively in all areas with the Vision Pro. She obviously did not use such crazy components due to the significantly lower price. The Quest 3 is missing the eye tracking feature that the Vision Pro has, which is something it lacks in comparison. Face tracking. Meta already has experience with face and eye tracking through the Meta Quest Pro. However, for the purpose of keeping the price low, they have made the decision not to include the corresponding cameras, sensors, and processing chip in the Quest 3. If there were a version of Quest 3 with face tracking, a similar magical control concept could be introduced, like the one in Apple Vision Pro. Hand tracking on Quest since 2019, 4 years before Apple Vision Pro announcement, preceded Apple Vision Pro by 4 years. And this could now potentially become much more precise in conjunction with eye tracking technology. You can tell that Mark Zuckerberg is a bit peeved in his statement comparing the Quest 3 to the Vision Pro. Apple's eye tracking is cool. We had sensors in the Quest Pro, removed for Quest 3, we'll bring back in the future. He emphasizes multiple times that in future Meta headsets, this technology will be reintroduced and become the standard. And it almost sounds like an apology, which on the one hand he wants to express, but on the other hand he doesn't want to overestimate so as not to give Vision Pro a big advantage now. I would have really loved to have face tracking on the Quest 3, but I guess that would have made it even more impossible to keep the price at $499, and they would have just lost a lot of potential buyers. However, the Quest 3 is an excellent headset, which in contrast to the Vision Pro has an additional advantage that we will discuss now. Right? Do you want to modify settings on one of your devices, duplicate something up or down using a PC, but regrettably there is no method to accomplish that? Frequently, it is a closed system, like Apple Vision Pro, that simply denies you the appropriate setting or access, leaving you without the necessary controls or permissions. But the MetaQuest 3 is different. Here we have an open system where you can make all sorts of settings. So if you want to customize your menu or your home environment, use the Quest 3 while lying down, access the file structure of the Quest 3, or crank up the GPU and CPU settings to play every game with better graphics, then that's generally possible without any problems. I explained how to do that in this video. In addition, you'll also get many more helpful tips and tricks that every Quest 3 user should know.